Dear Dharma friends and all practitioners, for the Patriot Zens, we always emphasize the practice and we focus on the doubt. The doubt is the thoughts of want to know but cannot figure it out. It's just because the doubt want to know and can't figure it out will make the doubt. So when the doubt will go continuously, which means we believe fully in our Buddha nature, we detach ourselves from all the dualistic aspect of the mind, then we completely stay away from those thinking, elusive thinking in the mind. That will be the time that we can realize our Buddha nature. We realize our wisdom of the Buddha nature, and that wisdom is the same as the 3 generations of the Buddha. And when we're practicing, we will go back to our wisdom of the Buddha nature. So the doubt is the walking toward our destinations. And that will be the means that we use in order to cut off all of those attachments that we have for this elusive thinking, elusive creation of the mind. It's just like a person awakened from a dream. The patriarch said that if there's no cause and no effect, it's just because we always attach ourselves to something going on in our mind. That's why that interfere with our practice. It's just like when we always have something to ask for, something to achieve, and something to fear of. And those attachments make us in the problem of going forward or backward. And we always put in our mind and thoughts that we always right, but we don't follow the means, the skillful means that the patriarch and the Buddha gave us. That's why when we go after our intentions, our thinking, then we won't be able to get the enlightenment, won't be able to see our Buddha nature. So the practicing on a wrong path like that won't get us to the destinations. When we detach ourselves from all the thinking in the mind, then we won't be able, we will not ask for anything or won't achieve anything or not fearing of anything, just asking questions clearly, continuously, diligently. No matter if we have the doubt, don't have a doubt, we still asking questions. We don't put in our intentions of searching for the achievement. or asking for anything. When we still see that we are right, that will be the interference for our practice. When we realize that you achieve something, use that as a reminder to go back to your practice. Like Quả Zen Master said that when you're doing or practicing the Patriot Zens, you realize that you are no better than anybody else. You always the one that behind everybody in this world. You don't attach yourself to right or wrong, good or bad, or attach yourself to any achievement. Those are just like your habits from several lives before that you attach yourself to. It's not easy to practice or reach your destinations. However, you don't stop practicing just because it's difficult. Even though the ignorance, the attachment is always there to interfere with your practice. Like what Zen Master said, that you must continue to practice, keep your practice going continuously. When those habits, when those discriminations happenings, just use them as a reminder to go back to your practice. Don't attach yourself to the right or wrong or the discriminations. When you realize your habit, when you realize your ignorance, don't be afraid of them. Just use them as a reminder to go back to your practice. If you always feel like sleeping all the times, or your mind is not clear, just asking questions and raising doubt. And that is our practice. Always practice diligently, continuously, and when you have all the conditions come together, you will see your own Buddha nature. And that is the way that you pay respect to the teaching of our Buddha, our patriots, or our masters. So if you have any questions or want to share your experience, go ahead and speak up. Kim In, go ahead. Why in Dharma talk from you and also from Yu Lực Zen Master, when we practice diligently, if we don't detach ourselves from all the thinking, that will be the pressure or the problem that you're going on the wrong path. If you practicing diligently, continuously, you must detach yourself from all those habits or ignorance already, and why when you practice diligently, you won't be able to attach you still attaching to those habits and ignorance. The Buddha said, or the patriarch said that when you practicing diligently, the ghost, the king of ghosts, is always there to interfere with your practicing. Those are the habits, those are the ignorance that we've been having for several lives, and they always interfere with your practice. That's why we always have that discriminations, and we run after those thinking in the head when they arise. When we make a vow to practice, we put in attentions to practice, our mind start to create all those thinkings. It's just like when you are hungry, in your mind, you're thinking of foods, you're thinking of the smell, you're thinking of the taste of the foods. So when you practicing diligently, even though you're practicing diligently, continuously, however, all of those temptations created by your own mind always there to lure you from your practice. What you ask for, what you want to achieve, what you fear of, always there. And your mind will create those things to lure you away from your practice. And those are the habits. Those are the ignorance that interfere with your practice. Just because when you started the practice, you don't have that strength yet in practicing. When you put in your intention of practicing, then all those thinkings in your head are there to lure you away from your practice. When you put in your attention that you will do the practice diligently, continuously, that is the intention that you put in is the interference of your practice already. The more you put in your intention to do the practice diligently, the greater the interference it is. However, you don't stop practicing. Just use those as a reminder to go back to the practice. Don't attach yourself to those thinking in the head. If you attach yourself to those thinking in the head, that will become the ego. That will become the self that you attach to. When you're practicing correctly, you will feel that you not achieving anything. You feel like you are no better than anybody else. Like Quả Zen Master said in his teaching, when you feel like you achieve something, your mind will create something for you to achieve, and that will become the ego. When all the thinkings, elusive thinkings going on in your mind, if you don't pay attention to them or just go back to your practice, then they will disappear automatically because you have the practice. But if you attach yourself to those thinkings, then you're going to go into that path of thinking, and you will go into the attachment of yourself to the thinking and the ignorance, your habit. However, when you said that you have the habit, when you have all those elusive thinking, the mind going on, don't be afraid. Don't feel like you are so bad that you cannot do the practice. Just use them as a reminder to go back to the practice. No matter if you have the doubt or don't have a doubt, when you have the lot of elusive thinking in the mind or nothing in the mind at all, just use them as a reminder to go back to your practice. Don't let the thinking or those ignorance overwhelm your practice. When you rooted your practice in the circle of birth and death, you will value every fragments of the times and practice the chance to have this body, the chance to meet the right Dharma from the Buddha is very difficult. You need to do the practice diligently and detach yourself from all the thinkings in your head. And that is the eyes of wisdom that you need to open. Don't be afraid of any of those going on in your mind. Just use them as a reminder to go back to your practice. Asking questions and raising doubt. And when you have the problem, have the questions, you ask your Dharma friend, your master, so they will direct you back to the right path so you don't go on the wrong path. So you need to be careful when you're practicing, because if you just go on the wrong path for just a little, you will not be able to reach your destinations and you'll be lost. So as the patriarch said that if you're practicing wrong from the beginning, you won't be able to walk toward your destinations. You need to root your practice in the circle of birth and death and keep practicing no matter what's going on. If you don't have a chance to see the experienced ones or your Dharma friends, still go back to the practice, apply your practice, keep you practicing until you see your own Buddha nature. It doesn't mean that when you practicing, when you're not familiar practicing, you need the help from the experienced one or the temple, the monastery to help you in your practice. When you're not practicing diligently yet, you don't just want to stay home and practice yourself, because you might find some problem, and that problem can be the interference with your practice that you don't know. That's why the monastery or the precepts that the Buddha had here will help you to practice on the right path. That will help you to stay away from the laziness, stay away from your ignorance, and go on the right path. That's why all those precepts from lower level to higher level will help you to practice properly. When you still have the attachment to your thinking in the head, that is the wrong path of practicing. That's why you need to be careful, very careful in your practice. Is that understandable? Yes. Thank you for your words. Dear Master, I'd like to share my experience with you so you can help myself in practicing. I have some situations when the situation going on and I have the thinking that need to respond or to not to respond to that situations. So 2 days ago, when we went to visit a temple, when I met my own master, the last two 20 years, when I'd ask you the practice in this my old master asked me the questions, what I'm practicing, is that right or wrong? And my old master said that it was wrong. And when I have a respond to him that all the skillful means from the Buddha and the patriarchs are always helping people to realize the Buddha nature. So this response that I had, I don't know if it's the right or wrong response. Can you help me on this? When we practicing the patriarch Zens, sometimes our mind is always want to explain our practice to other people. And when we look at some situation that we are in, we always want to respond to the situations based on our own understanding. And sometimes when we meet our relative, we always want our relative to understand our practice. That's why we want to explain to them. those are the ego that we had. It's just like a story of Lai Quả Zen master. When he practicing, he didn't pay attention to anything going on surrounding him. Even when his master came to the temple, he didn't even come to greet his master, or anything going on outside, he not pay attention at all. So when we doing the Patriot Zens, we don't pay attention to anything going on outside. We don't make time to explain anything about our practicing. Like Quả Zen master, when he was in his practicing mode, anybody asking him questions, he's not answering. He just go back to his questions. Who is chanting Buddha names? So that is the right way to practice. When we still have those decision of responding or not responding to the situations, which means you are not doing the practice diligently. When you meet somebody who really want to know about our practice, then we can share our practice with them. However, for those who don't want to know about our practice, just go back to our practice and asking questions and raising doubt. That's all we doing. We don't try to show our practice to the one that doesn't want to know. Everything is just by chance. If you have the chance with the person who want to learn, then we share our practice with them, and their decisions to make to practice or not practice, that's their decisions. When we practicing, we don't follow just the forms. Those forms or all of those that you're running after, those are the creation of your mind. We need to believe in the cause and effect and know that what we saw, what situation that we're in, are just the result of the cause and effect. We just go back to our practice. Our masters always said that our whatever seed that we blow, the trees will grow accordingly. It's just like an example that when you put in your efforts to do the job, then you will have the result from that job based on what you put in, what effort that you put in. So when we practicing the patriarch Zen, everything will be changed. All those thinkings in the head will be changed. We don't run after other people criticism or words. We just go back to our practice and everything will change accordingly, automatically. And based on our experience in practice, we will still go back to our practice and practice more. Any situation going on outside are just the situations from outside. Those are just because of the cause and effects from outside that have nothing to do with our practice. For our patriarch Zens, they always use the practice as a blanket at the winter time, and they use the practice as the water to wash their face in the morning. So they always put the practice ahead and always practice. And that is the responsibility, their responsibility.